I was supposed to test the test bench, but things don't always go according to plan. I've been fighting with this VGA Capture device that I bought from Aliexpress. I think it was 34 euros or something like that. So not too expensive, but expensive enough to actually expect this to be somewhat usable. But after fighting with this way too much already, I think it's better to do a short review about this device. I can spoil you the result because this VGA Capture doesn't support VGA at all, and that was the problem all along. But perhaps I need to explain it a bit more. This device supports USB 3, but doesn't really require it, and in fact I don't even know why is there USB 3 support, because it certainly doesn't seem to output anything that USB 2 wouldn't be enough. This also has VGA output, so you can put this between your device and monitor, but the output is simply bad. It weakens the image quality quite a lot actually. And it's a bit surprising because for the output to even work, this device needs to be powered, and it's powered through this USB. But if the output is bad, the real problems are with the input, or rather what this captures and what it doesn't. Because let's take a look at the specifications. This is the loop out version, or it was also called there was somewhere new VGA somewhere. Well, no matter, as you can see, frame here 5 to 60 frames, and of course plain VGA is 70 Hertz or frames per second. But a lot of LCD monitors simply skip frames when necessary, so they output the 70 Hz input at least somewhat usable. And if you can look at those resolutions, you can see there's NTSC, PAL, and then Super VGA resolutions. But it's missing those text mode resolutions. That would be 720 by 400 for 9 pixel wide VGA text, or 640 by 400 if 8 pixel wide font is used. And also that's what low resolution graphics modes also use. They simply do line doubling, so they display at 640 by 400. But neither of these plain VGA modes are missing. But I don't think that's the real problem. The real problem with this device is that it doesn't display anything when it gets 70 Hz input. So, as you can probably imagine by now, this whole device is completely useless in my case. What I really need to do is get the plain VGA so you can see the BIOS screens, text modes, and sometimes low resolution games. So basically, the plain VGA modes are really the only I actually need, and they are the only modes that this device doesn't support at all. So this VGA Capture doesn't support VGA. I really thought that maybe it actually accepts 70 Hz, but simply outputs by skipping frames when necessary, and like some monitors do. But no, it simply doesn't take 70 Hz input. And I worked with this quite a long time and wasted many hours and so on and so on. And because my old PC that is now here in garage doesn't even have USB 3, I first thought that maybe that was the problem. So I borrowed my daughter's laptop that actually does have USB 3, but no, it was actually quite the same, only black picture. So it wasn't about the USB. But then I remembered, let's take a look, that I had tested one Trident graphics card here. This is from 97, or quite late 97 device. And it uses, let me take microscope again. It uses this Trident Cyber 9385T graphics chip. And what's special about this is that it's meant for laptops and not for desktop systems. And I remember when testing this that it displays quite odd looking image. So maybe, since this chip is meant for laptops that are most likely with LCDs that display at 60 Hz, so maybe this uses the very same BIOS that those laptops use, and maybe perhaps this also displays 60 Hz. And it does actually. But it wasn't quite that simple. This one does something else as well. Something I just noticed before starting to record this video is that someone has added FPM, fast page mode memory, when the soldered ones are EDO. So I need to replace those sometimes, but this works with those as well. But yeah, what this does is that it simply scales all low resolution modes, at least those text modes and low resolution graphics modes, to 800 by 600 and displays that with 60 Hz. And with this, the capture device actually works because it doesn't have to rely on plain VGA anymore. I'm not going to test this test bench on this video, but I simply want to demonstrate. Because even BIOS screen is now displayed with 800 by 600. Doom and Quake is displayed. Of course, this isn't going to be perfect solution. First, because graphics card itself does scaling, but I wasn't quite happy what this capture device records, because even though it's now set to 800 by 600, there's still some scaling artifacts, and the graphics card displays that same resolution without those artifacts. Because with the VGA output, I can jump between VGA output. Now it actually doesn't have any artifacts or anything, but simply the quality is better from the VGA output than what is captured on my PC. So the capturing, it of course does compression, but this doesn't look like compression issues. It's more like scaling issues what I'm seeing here. So basically doesn't simply compress the 800 by 600 that is Trident outputs, but rather it captures with some unknown resolution and then scales it to 800 by 600. So we have some scaling artifacts that shouldn't be there. Well, it's still usable for my purposes, but this is not ideal, not by far. It looks like there's more lag if I increase the resolution to 1600 by 1200, and there's really, I don't know if it's better or not. No matter what resolution I choose for the capture, there always seem to be scaling artifacts. So I really don't know what's the real capture resolution. It simply seems to do scaling to what I request, but that's not how it should work. It doesn't give optimal results. So this Trident, it is somewhat a lifesaver. It allows me to do the test bench video, testing video at least. And of course, this Trident could be used on many other videos as well. But if I want to test graphics cards, then of course I have no way to capture input. Would I use this on a retro build? Absolutely not. You don't want any scaling, or definitely you do not want 70 Hz resolutions to be displayed with 60 Hz. So do not use this card on a retro build. But this does have uses. I don't know, perhaps this is used in some special equipment that is meant to be used with 800 by 600 LCD display. So this VGA capture doesn't really capture VGA. It's as simple as that. And if you really want that full HD resolution to be captured, I'm sure your device outputs HDMI. So you'll really want to use HDMI capture device and not this. This is really not good for anything, because who knows what the internal capture resolution is, because everything seems to produce scaling artifacts. But at least it could be used to something, but not to plain VGA capture, that's for sure. Oh, and I almost forget, I think I'll put this back just for a little while. I'm going to display what my monitor actually does say. It's 800 by 660 Hz. Display settings and display info. As you can now see, it's 800 by 659 Hz. It actually now reports, and we're definitely in DOS text mode. Let's start Doom. display settings and display info. Yes, as you can see, Doom runs in 800 by 659 Hz. But of course, it's not really running at that. This Trident simply does the conversion. But now that I'm recording, let's take just one. Let's test something that uses 640 by 480. That would be Speeches. It doesn't really look good on this monitor now. But first let me do auto adjust. It still looks awful. So it definitely looks like we are getting 800 by 600. Let's be absolutely sure. Yes. Yes. And the scaling is completely awful. But I blame the Trident, of course, not the VGA Capture here. Because it's not even capturing anything, it's just VGA output now. You really don't want to use 640 by 480 with this Trident. It looks completely awful. Completely. So that's it for this video. I think I need to edit this quite soon so I can get to the test bench video finally. Goodbye.